Jay Leno's life has long been defined by motion, discipline, and an almost uninterrupted drive to keep working. From stand-up clubs to late-night television and an extensive career in automotive passion projects, he built a reputation around consistency and relentless activity. Even as age and circumstance introduced natural limits, his instinct remained to stay engaged rather than slow down. Yet in recent years, a sequence of serious incidents and personal responsibilities began reshaping that rhythm. This is the story of how a man known for never stopping encountered moments that forced reflection, adjustment, and a quieter form of purpose. A life built on constant motion. For most of his career, Jay Leno treated work not as a phase of life, but as its foundation. Comedy was never just a profession. It was a structure that kept everything else stable. He filled his schedule with stand-up performances, television responsibilities, and constant preparation. Even when he reached peak fame, he maintained an intense pace rather than easing into comfort. Friends and colleagues often observed that he seemed more at ease when busy. Stillness, for him, was not rest. It felt like uncertainty. His identity became closely tied to continuous movement and productivity. Early struggles and work ethic before fame, Leno's approach to work was shaped by necessity. As a young comedian, he took any opportunity available, often traveling long distances for brief stage time. He lived modestly, sometimes in his vehicle, and relied on comedy gigs for survival. This period formed the foundation of his professional mindset. Consistency mattered more than convenience, and showing up repeatedly was the only reliable path forward. That mindset stayed with him even after success arrived. Instead of reducing his workload, he expanded it, reinforcing a habit of constant engagement that would define his entire career. The garage fire incident. In late 2022, while working in his garage on a vintage steam-powered car, Leno experienced a sudden and dangerous accident. A fuel-related issue led to a flash fire that engulfed him briefly, causing serious burns to his face and upper body. He was quickly assisted and taken for emergency medical treatment, where he underwent multiple procedures and skin grafts. Although the physical trauma was significant, his public response was notably understated. He returned to humor and downplayed the severity, but the incident revealed how quickly his lifelong environment of mechanical work could turn hazardous. Recovery and return to stage. Following the fire, recovery required medical attention, rest, and careful monitoring. However, Leno resumed public appearances sooner than many expected. Comedy remained his primary method of processing experience, and he incorporated the incident into his performances with humor. To him, continuing work represented normalcy rather than denial. Yet the pace of his return raised concern among medical professionals and observers. Burn recovery typically demands patience, but his instinct leaned toward activity and routine. This contrast highlighted the tension between a body needing healing and a mindset built on uninterrupted momentum. The motorcycle crash and its aftermath. Only a few months later, Leno experienced another serious accident while riding a vintage motorcycle he was restoring. A hidden hazard caused him to be thrown from the bike, resulting in multiple fractures and injuries requiring hospitalization. Unlike the dramatic fire, this incident was sudden and mechanical in nature, but equally impactful. Recovery was more restrictive this time, as mobility became limited and pain unavoidable. The repetition of major accidents in a short period shifted public perception. What once seemed like isolated misfortune began to appear as a concerning pattern. Growing signs of limits and reflection. As recovery progressed, the reality of physical limitation became more apparent. Injuries that affected movement and daily function forced a slower pace than he had ever maintained before. For someone accustomed to control through activity, this adjustment carried emotional weight as well as physical difficulty. The ability to simply continue working without interruption was no longer guaranteed. While he remained engaged publicly, there was a noticeable shift in how his situation was discussed, less about resilience alone and more about sustainability and long-term well-being. Personal life and conservatorship decision. In early 2024, Leno took a deeply personal step by seeking conservatorship for his wife, Mavis, following her diagnosis of dementia. The condition gradually affects memory and cognitive ability, requiring structured care and legal support for decision-making. Their long-standing marriage, known for its stability and privacy, transitioned into a caregiver dynamic. Leno assumed responsibility for ensuring her safety, medical care, and daily support. Unlike his public career, this role demanded quiet consistency rather than performance. It marked a significant shift from public achievement to private commitment and care. Shift in priorities and caregiving role. As caregiving became central to his daily life, Leno's relationship with work naturally evolved. While he did not fully step away from public appearances, he became more selective with commitments. Caregiving requires repetition, patience, and presence, qualities that differ from the fast-paced structure of entertainment. This new responsibility did not erase his professional identity, but rebalanced it. Instead of prioritizing constant visibility, his focus expanded to include personal responsibility at home. The rhythm of his life began aligning more with necessity than momentum, reflecting a quieter but meaningful transformation. Public perception and legacy in transition. Public response to these developments shifted as well. Earlier in his career, Leno was often associated with endurance and tireless work ethic. After the accidents and personal changes, attention increasingly centered on his resilience and adaptability. The narrative moved from constant performance to long-term sustainability and care. Rather than diminishing his legacy, this transition added complexity to it. He remained active, but in a different capacity, balancing professional identity with personal obligation. His story became less about uninterrupted motion and more about recognizing when different forms of responsibility take precedence. Outro J. Leno's journey illustrates how even a life built on relentless motion eventually encounters moments that demand adjustment. Accidents, aging, and personal responsibility introduced new limits, but they did not erase his drive or identity. Instead, they reshaped how that drive is expressed. What once centered on constant public performance has gradually expanded into quieter, private forms of commitment. His later years reflect a different kind of consistency, one defined not only by work ethic, but by presence, care, and the ability to adapt when life no longer follows a predictable rhythm.